Hello, and welcome to the podcast that tries to answer one simple question. What is this thing called film noir? I'm your host, Sergio Angelini, and welcome to Tipping My Fedora, where we discuss movies, books, TV, radio, and much more besides, all from the darker side of the street. I've titled this episode, Will the Real Mr. Arkadin Please Stand Up? For reasons that I think will become clear very shortly. In 1992, Jonathan Rosenbaum published his essay, The Seven Arkadins, in Film Comment magazine. It was the first attempt to try and catalogue the different versions of Orson Welles' film Mr. Arkadin, also released as Confidential Report, and analyse the differences between them. Since then, the number of versions identified has risen to about 10, though with that has come much more clarity about the various permutations of this fascinating work, a pulpy but complex entertainment that should be far better known. However, some of the versions of the film in distribution hardly do it any favours. The film, first released in Europe in 1955, was written and directed by Welles, who also stars as the eponymous Gregory Arkadin, a rich, powerful and shady businessman. The character was based to some extent on the Greek industrialist and arms dealer Basil Zaharoff. In the film, a small-time smuggler, Guy Van Straten, is hired by Arkadin to do something very unusual. Look into the early years of Arkadin's own life because, the man says, he suffers from a form of amnesia and can't remember anything from before 1927. The creation of this confidential report will take Van Straten all over the world, including stops in France, Italy, Denmark, Spain, Germany and Mexico, and will also bring him closer to Arkadin's daughter, Raina. Along the way, several dead bodies start to accumulate, and before long Van Straten begins to fear for his own life. One of a number of noir films made by Welles, the others include The Stranger, The Lady from Shanghai and Touch of Evil. This is an intoxicating concoction that can be a bit heady and confusing at times, and yet repays several viewings as the various pieces of the puzzle fall into place, while the mystery of Arkadin himself becomes ever more unfathomable, perhaps even to himself. Unfortunately, as with many of Welles's films, no one definitive edition of the film exists, although personally I feel that we do now have a fairly close approximation of what he was working towards before the final edit was removed from his hands. The various versions of the film are as follows. 2 versions were released in Spain at different times. These vary from those released elsewhere as they feature 2 local actors in roles played by different people in all the other versions. These were prepared specifically for local consumption as Spain was a co-producer on the film. The 3rd version was released in the UK and other parts of Europe starting in August 1955 and is known as Confidential Report. This was a version taken over at a late stage by the film's producer, Welles's old friend Louis d'Olivet. It slightly simplified the flashback structure Welles had been working on in the editing and was closer to his original screenplay entitled Masquerade, which was originally structured in roughly chronological order. The 4th version, the closest to his original intentions available in Welles's lifetime, was unearthed in 1961. It is referred to as the Corinth edition as that was the name of the US distributor who handled it. The 5th version, the one most generally available in the US, was an edited down iteration that completely removed the flashback structure. It is best avoided. The 6th version is the most recent, known as the comprehensive version, and was made available in 2006. It is derived from all the various iterations and is a very sympathetic, best guess reconstruction, largely based on the Corinth version, but with several important additions, including a long-lost opening shot of a woman on a beach, and a different conclusion with a final subjective shot of the plane crash, followed by the film's title sequence, that to me seems absolutely the correct iteration. In addition to these 6 film versions, there is the original screenplay, the aforementioned Masquerade, a French-language novelisation by Maurice Bessy, and an English-language novelisation that is credited to Welles, but which he did not write and for which no one has yet taken credit for. This gets us to, by my count, our 9th iteration. The 10th and very first Arkadin is the one we will be presenting here on the podcast today, Man of Mystery from 1952, an episode of the Harry Lime radio series, although even that exists in variant forms. The Harry Lime radio series was the brainchild of writer-producer Harry Alan Towers, who at the time ran his highly successful Towers of London production company, making and/or distributing a string of popular radio shows directly for syndication throughout the English-speaking world. His best show, overall, may well have been his Sherlock Holmes series, starring John Gielgud as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's great detective, Rafe Richardson as Watson, and in one memorable episode, Orson Welles as Professor Moriarty. But it was a few years before this Holmes success that he came up with the idea for the Harry Lime radio show, a prequel to Carol Reed's 1949 classic film noir, The Third Man, written by Graham Greene. Towers had the same agent as Greene, and learned that the character rights were still owned by the author, with whom he made a deal, apparently worth about £1,000 an episode. He then made a deal with Welles to reprise his Harry Lime character, the third man of the movie title, for 52 episodes that explored the early years of that rogue's life. Towers was also able to secure the services of Anton Karas, who was responsible for the film's trademark zither music, which he had also licensed for his show. You will notice that in the radio broadcast that we're going to be listening to shortly, the music is given extremely high prevalence, and was in fact the other main selling point of the show apart from Welles. It was enormously popular at the time. The 52 episodes, recorded primarily in London but also in Paris and Rome, subject to Welles's availability, were created in multiple iterations to be sold to different markets. The BBC bought a selection of 16 episodes for the UK broadcasts, starting in August 1951. In the US, the series was never networked, but was syndicated to various stations, with running times running from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the slots available and making allowances for adverts during the broadcast. Sometimes in some territories, the show was billed under its variant title, The Adventures of Harry Lime. For the initial batch of episodes, Welles recorded an explanation of how Lime's escapades were returning, even though the character was killed at the end of the original movie. Here is that memorable opening, as used in the series' debut story, Too Many Crooks.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character, originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
That was the shot that killed Harry Lime. He died in a sewer beneath Vienna, as those of you know who saw the movie The Third Man. Yes, that was the end of Harry Lime. But it was not the beginning. Harry Lime had many lives, and I can recount all of them. How do I know? It's very simple. Because my name is Harry Lime.
In later episodes, this would be omitted as the premise of the show was now well established. Man of Mystery, one of 8 or 9 episodes that Welles was known to have written either solo or in collaboration, was originally broadcast 37th in the initial run. In it, you will find the core story and characters of Mr. Arkadin, including the confidential report to solve the tycoon's amnesia, the opening with the plane without a pilot, and the relationship with the daughter, Raina. Here's the opening of the film that sets up the plot, and which is almost directly taken from the beginning of the radio play.
On December 25th, an aeroplane was sighted off the coast of Barcelona. it was flying empty. Investigation of this case reached into the highest circles, and the scandal was very nearly responsible for the fall of at least one European government. This motion picture is a fictionalized reconstruction of the events leading up to the murder and to the appearance last Christmas morning of the empty plane.
The Lime role became Van Straten in the film, and was played by Robert Arden, who had previously worked in the Lime series too. In addition, in Man of Mystery, the role of Arkadin, or is it Arkadin, is played by Frederick O'Brady, who in the movie version plays the role of Oscar. It does, in essence, play like a 30-minute compressed version of the movie. Wells, however, also drew on 2 other of the radio episodes for his film. The early scenes, featuring the portside death of Bracco with his deadly secret, and the cigarette smuggling, can be found in the episode Blackmail is a Nasty Word, while Van Straten's girlfriend Millie, here called Lily, and played in the film by Patricia Medina, is to be found in the episode Murder on the Riviera. But here now is the radio drama Man of Mystery, undisputably, we hope, the very beginnings of Orson Welles' fascinating film noir, Mr. Arkadin.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character, originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
One late afternoon a couple of years ago, a plane was sighted about 70 miles out of the Orly airport in Paris. It was a private plane of medium size, and nobody was in it. Nobody at all. The plane, keeping its course steadily toward Paris, was flying itself. Why was it empty? Who had been flying it? And why and in what circumstances had they left it? Well, thereby hangs the tale.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the Third Man, in today's story, Man of Mystery.
Monsieur Gregory Arkadin, calling Monsieur Harry Lime.
Yes, Harry Lime speaking.
One moment, please.
Hello? Hello?
Hello,
This is Grigory Arkadin.
Yes?
I am at the Hotel de Cap in Antibes. Come and see me tonight. I have a job.
Well, I'm in Vienna. Well, there isn't a plane out of here until Saturday.
I am sending you mine.
Your what?
My private plane. This is Arkadian speaking.
Oh?
Grigory Arkadian. You know who that is?
Oh, yes, I think so.
You think you know who is Grigory Arkadian? My friend, that is wonderful answer. More wonderful than you guess. I'll see you soon, Mr. Lime, yes? After dinner tonight.
Hello? 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 Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, just as the great Mr. Arkadin had willed it, there I was on that famous plane of his. And promptly after dinner, there I was at the Hotel de Cap, which is in Antibes, which is in the south of France. Science is wonderful, and so is money.
You're waiting to see my father?
Was your father Gregory Arkadin?
Yes.
Well, that's who I'm waiting for.
Mr. Lime, I am completely in my father's confidence. We are extremely close. He tells me everything, but he hasn't said a word about you. What is your business?
Oh, I dabble, Miss Arkadin. I dabble in a variety of sordid things.
I see. If you sit down, I'll tell my father you're waiting.
I sat down like a good little boy on the edge of the chair. I lit a cigarette and crossed my legs and tried not to look impressed about the fact that I was going to meet Gregory Arkadin. But it wasn't any use. I wasn't even fooling myself.
Here he is, Father.
Go in and amuse our guest, Raina. You are Mr. Lime, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
I've heard many things about you, Mr.
Well,
Lime.
I've heard many things about you, Mr. Arkadin.
What exactly have you heard about me? Go on, I have my reasons for asking.
Well, everybody knows you're one of the richest men in Europe, Mr. Arkadin. You're supposed to have big interests all the way from Denmark to the Belgian Congo, but you... Well, for one thing, you've never been photographed.
I do not like to be photographed, Mr. Lime.
Well, that's okay with me, Mr. Arkadin.
I think you are starting to make fun of me.
No, I'm waiting for you to start making some sense, Mr. Arkadin.
You are a crook, Mr. Lime, but
Well, now-
I see you are a tough crook, not a little sneak thief. Tell me, did you ever hear of something called an intelligence check?
Intelligence check? Yes, I think so. Doesn't that mean some sort of check by an intelligence service in the army or something on a man's past? Isn't that what it
Some
is?
sort of. No, it's not some sort of checkup. It is, as you would say, the full treatment, the works.
Oh, yes.
They are very thorough, these army people from the intelligence service. They turn up the carpets, they look under the wallpaper.
Which army is this, Mr. Arkadin?
Your army, of course. Who else is planning those air bases in Portugal?
Oh, really? Oh, man, I wouldn't know.
It's an allied operation, but the U.S. Army must approve all contracts. And I understand, Mr. Lime, that all bids are examined not only on their own merits, but also on the merits of a man's record in the past. This is their famous intelligence check.
Okay. Now you're beginning to make a little sense. You want the contract for building these bases, and you're afraid of an investigation, so you want to hire me to help you cover up a few items that might not show up so nicely on your private file.
Are you telling me or asking me, Mr. Lime?
I'm guessing.
Well, guess again.
No, let's play something else. How about Pachisi or Lotto?
I am not playing games, Lime. I am hiring you for a job of
A
work.
minute ago, Arkadin, you called me a crook. It's a cinch you've got a touch of larceny on the brain, or you wouldn't have called me in. What's the offer?
$10,000.
Tax-free, old man?
You can have it in gold, in Liechtenstein.
Well, that's a nice offer, Arkadin. I'll have to know who it is you want killed before I give you my final reply.
You are to kill nobody. You are to cover up nothing. You
That's
are
good.
to perform no illegal acts whatever. No, Mr. Lime. I am not hiring your so easily adjustable conscience. I am buying you a knowledge of the continental underworld.
Oh.
And that is all. I want you to make an investigation and prepare me a report.
What do you want to know about?
I want to know about me.
You?
Yes. It is on the subject of me I want you to make that report, Mr. Lime. I want you to investigate me.
Well, okay, Mr. Arkadin, but just what is it you're afraid they'll find out?
I swear, Mr. Lime, I wish I knew.
Well, there must be something. You wouldn't be so worried, and I guess you figure if I can't smoke it out, the FBI isn't likely to either, but still,
Let me tell you a poetic little story.
Okay, old man, if you insist.
It is the winter of 27.
Oh, really?
I'm a young man, and the city is Lucerne in Switzerland. I have only the suit I was wearing and a wallet with 200,000 francs, Swiss francs. It was with that money that my present great fortune was built.
Yes. Well,
The stages, Mr. Lime, the stages by which I erected myself into the position of one of the richest men in the world may be traced. They call me a man of mystery in the newspapers, but really all of that story can be pieced together and checked.
Yes, I'm sure, but...
Mr. Lime, what happened before the winter of 27?
Well, that's for you to say, huh?
Where did I come from in my one suit? Who was my family? That's my real secret, Mr. Lime. I don't know who I am.
So that was my assignment. Tell Mr. Arkadin who he was. Yes, old Doc Harry Lime was supposed to cure a slight case of amnesia, which had only been pestering the patient for the last 20 years. Right away, I could see that this little caper wasn't going to be any kind of a cinch. Well, there was plenty of cash, unlimited traveling expenses and all that. But as far as a cue or a clue to the facts about his own distant, mysterious past, Gregory Arkadin was just about as helpful and as chatty as a clam. Now, look, Mr. Arkadin.
Arkadin.
Okay, Arkadin. Pronounce your name any way you want to, but... Hey, wait a minute. How do you know it's Arkadin?
I know my own name.
Who says so?
I say so.
And who are you?
That's what I am paying you to find out, Mr. Lime.
Exactly. So what makes you so sure about your name? Maybe it's really the name of a town or a candy bar you happen to be eating. And maybe it's the name of the man you murdered.
You think that's how I got the money, Mr. Lime? By committing a murder?
Mr. Arkadin, I don't know how you began, but I know the best way to begin finding out.
How's that?
Well, isn't it obvious, old man? By assuming the worst.
Antibes, Monsieur Grégory Arkadin demande Monsieur Lime, Monsieur Harry Lime, à Zurich.
Mr. Lime?
Yes?
Well, Mr. Lime, what have you found out?
Hello, Arkadin. How did you find out I was in Zurich?
I have an office in Zurich. Well?
Well, what?
You heard me. What have you found out? Who was I? Where did I come from? What,
You came from Warsaw.
What's
Warsaw.
that?
Well, I said you came from Warsaw. That's in 27. I'm not sure where you came from originally, but your tailor thinks that...
what?
Your tailor, the one who made your clothes when you first came to Zurich.
He's dead.
The one who owned the shop, not the cutter. You probably never noticed him, but he remembers you. And what's more, he remembers the label in the first coat you were wearing.
What label? What did it say?
Yeah, well, he doesn't know. All he remembers is that the coat was made in Warsaw.
That
the coat
isn't much?
was made... No, it's not much, but it's something.
Well, what are you going to do now? You can't get a visa for Poland?
No, but an awful lot of Poles left home since 27.
You mean refugees?
Oh, that's right.
But they went everywhere, all over the place.
That's right.
Well, where are you going now?
Well, I'm going to look up a few Poles.
But where?
Just where you said, Mr. Arkadin. Everywhere. All over the place.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man, continues in today's story, Man of Mystery.
And now here I am in Paris, in Maxine's. Now, I'll spare you all the sordid details. What matters now is that my dinner companion is a vendeuse at a couturier's, which means her profession is helping Jacques sell all those dresses of his. She is Polish, this dinner companion of mine, a refugee. And this is partly because I am closing in on that section of the population, and she is also a very classy dish, indeed. That section I'm closing in on. The name is Baroness Nagel. And by this time, we're leaning across the empty coffee cups, making eyes at each other.
I'm enjoying myself, you know. I didn't think I would.
Go ahead. Enjoy yourself all you want to. I'm on an expense account. Do you mind if I ask you a rather personal question,
No,
Baroness?
I don't think so.
I'd like you to tell me something about the criminal underworld of Warsaw.
For a couple of years, Mr. Lime, and only because my family needed the money very much.
Yes,
I was
know that
attached
is,
to
eh?
the Warsaw police.
The police?
I think I was helpful.
Imagine.
But the truth is, I was only used on one case as a sort of wooden duck. How you call it, a decoy. There were several of us, all working to break up the gang of a certain criminal called Sophie.
Sophie, huh?
It was all frightfully sordid.
Yes, I
One
can
isn't
imagine.
a brute, but still one was glad actually to be useful in breaking it up. It was a pity the leader was never caught.
So the leader, Sophie, never got away. What was her full name, Sophie?
Does it really matter?
Well, it might, yes, quite a lot.
She's been married since.
Well, do you know the man's name?
I will look it up for you. Apparently she's very respectable now and has nothing to fear.
Well, I thought they were very strict about people with criminal records in Argentina.
Yes, not Argentina
No?
and not Brazil, Mr. Lime.
No?
And do not imagine you can trap me so easily.
You know what? I'll bet you a couple of $100 I can trap you, Baroness.
Let's make it 500. That's more sporting.
500, well, 300. That's sporting enough. I'll write the address of this lady, Sophie, on the back of this menu. And you write your version of it on yours.
Okay.
Well, I've written my guess. Smith. I don't suppose it's right. Let's see how I did. Smith. Well, show me what you wrote.
I would like to see, first of all, the stakes.
All right. 1, 2, 300, 3. And now let's see what you wrote, Thanks. Senora Carlo Martini, 77th Avenida Libertad, Havana, Cuba. Well, you win, Baroness. I did come within a mile of it. The next day, I was on my way to Cuba. And a little time after that, I was in my room in the hotel in Havana. It was after midnight. Yes?
Just a minute. Hold on. Mr. Arkadin calling.
Okay. Hello?
How are you coming,
Oh,
Lime?
fine. I couldn't be better, Mr. Arkadin. Got the goods on you.
What?
Well, the dirt, all of it. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
How you mean dirt?
Well, I know all about before 27.
What?
Before 1927. I know what you were up to in Warsaw.
In Warsaw? Can you prove it?
Sure.
What's your room number?
Maybe you didn't understand. I'm in Havana.
So am I.
I said Havana.
I heard you. What's your number?
208.
I'll be right down. Hello, Lime.
Well, Mr. Arkadin, this is a coincidence. What are you doing in Havana, Mr. Arkadin?
I had some business to attend to. What's your news?
I was just writing out a full report, but if you like, I can boil it down to the essentials.
Boil it down.
Sophie Wyszynski is living. She's married bigamously, and her real husband, a character known as Oscar, is blackmailing her.
What of
and
it?
Oscar's a hophead. He takes heroin in large doses.
What's that got to
Well,
do
I
with
managed
me?
to lock Oscar away for a few days in a shack outside of town. I didn't give him any junk, and after a while he started talking. He talked quite a lot, Mr. Arkadin. It's all going down in the report.
Never mind the report. What did he say?
Well, okay, I'll give it to you. since you're asking, there were 7 members operating in the gang headed in Warsaw by Sophie Wyszynski. 3 of them are dead. 2, Andrei Bloch and Jacob Hescheli's, are behind the Iron Curtain. Oscar, I've told you about. Well, that leaves 1 more. His name was Akim Athabadze. And in 1927, Athabadze absconded with some of the loot of the gang. The gang never found him, but I have another source, and I'll tell you about that later. But I've managed to trace Mr. Athabadze to Zurich, where he changed his name. Does that mean anything to you?
Why should it?
Well, supposing I should tell you that the name he took was Arkadin. Gregory Arkadin.
You'd have to prove it.
I can.
You're positive?
Positive.
You spoke of sources. Who are they?
Well, it's very involved, Mr. Arkadin. I'm tired. I'd rather put the whole thing down in an orderly way in my report.
And when will that be?
Well, I'm leaving Cuba tomorrow, and then I'll have all the facts assembled in Paris, and I'll put it down by the end of the week and give it to you.
I see. I hope you're mistaken, Mr. Lime. It would be a terrible thing if what you tell me is true.
I'm not mistaken.
Well, whatever happens, say nothing of this to my daughter. Absolutely nothing. Do I have your word on that?
Of course.
I wonder if you could possibly guess what an awful thing it is. To have only a conscience. A conscience. And no memory at all.
2 days later, I was in France. Raina phoned me at my hotel, and I took her to dinner. She tried to draw me out, but I wasn't having any of that. I'd given Arkadin a promise, and no matter what he'd been or what I was, that was one promise that was going to be kept.
I wish you weren't so mysterious about everything, Harry. You see, I know about the airports. There's to be 3 of them in Portugal. It means a great deal of money for whoever gets the contract.
Yes, that's where the intelligence check business comes. You know, I don't even think he knows what an intelligence check is.
He's heard people talking about it, you know, army people and others, Americans. Yeah. And it worries him. Remember, he's a Russian.
Yes.
And that means he grew up with an almost superstitious fear of all secret police.
Just a second. How do you know he's Russian?
Well, I am his daughter.
Yes, but he doesn't know himself where he was born. What are you laughing at?
Is that what he told you, that he didn't know where he was born?
You mean he was lying?
Oh, he can't help it, Harry. He lies to everybody. It's his nature.
Oh, well, what about this amnesia?
What amnesia?
Well, in 1927, your father found himself in Zurich with his pockets full of money and no memory at all. He didn't know where he came from or who he was or where he got the money. Now, oh, wait a minute. You mean the whole thing was a lie?
I never heard of amnesia lasting that long. More than 20 years. Except in cheap books and bad movies. Oh, Harry, you should have known better than to believe that one.
So he'd been lying. Lying all the time. He knew his past, as well as I knew my own. Well, just as I was absorbing that, the news came from Cuba. A friend in Havana sent it to me, a clipping from one of the newspapers, said he thought I'd be interested. Well, I was. It seems that Signor Oskar Trebich and Signora Martini, formerly Sophie Wyszynski of Poland, had been found together in a ditch in a suburb of Havana. Both were dead. They had been strangled. Yeah?
We've managed to trace Mr. Arkadin for you, Mr. Lime.
Good.
At the airport.
Is it the airport?
Just a minute. I'll put him through.
Thank you. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Lime.
Yes, Harry Lime speaking.
Make it quick, Lime. Traffic's just cleared me. I'm flying my own plane, and if I don't take off right away, I won't get into Paris before dark. What do you want?
Well, they found Sophie and Oscar.
What's that?
Oscar, Mr. Arkadin. Oscar and Sophie. Remember Sophie? She used to be your girlfriend back in Warsaw when you were working for her as a white slaver and dope smuggler. Oscar was her husband. They were found dead in a ditch, Mr. Arkadin. In a ditch near Havana. They'd been strangled.
What about it?
Well, I know why you did it. You...
Lime, listen to me. I'm paying you money. Big money. I'll even raise the sum. I'll see you in Paris.
No, I'd rather not see you, Mr. Arkadin. I'd rather not be strangled than left in a ditch.
Well, then, what do you propose?
Well, I propose to tell your story, Mr. Arkadin. The whole story. Remember, I have the proof.
We'll see about your proofs. I'm an important man, Lime. Not a little crook like you. Nobody'll believe you.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Arkadin. I'm really very sorry. But I've already found somebody who does believe me.
Who? Who believes you? Nobody that matters. You forget who I am.
Well, you're the father of Raina, Mr. Arkadin. I told you I was sorry, but I had to save my life.
You mean you told Raina?
Yes, Mr. Arkadin.
And she believed you?
Everything. Everything except the murder of Sophie and Oscar. She thinks it may not have been you who did that, and of course I can't prove that it was, but if I should be killed now, Mr. Arkadin, that would be proof enough, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Mr. Arkadin?
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
So, that's how the plane happened to be empty. Arkadin must have set the controls before he jumped out. But why? Why did he jump instead of crashing? I think because he wanted Raina to know it wasn't accidental. Because he wanted her to realize that rather than face her, knowing she knew about him, he preferred to die. But of course, that's only a theory. There wasn't any note in the plane, just the portfolio, the famous dispatch case he always traveled with, filled with all the great affairs of the world. No, we can only guess. Gregory Arkadin remained, even to the last, a man of mystery.
That recording was courtesy of the Internet Archive in San Francisco, and for which many thanks. You have been listening to Tipping My Fedora, the show about all things noir. It is produced for Castiglione Publishing by me, Sergio Angelini, and our theme tune is by Petar Milinkovic, whose work is available through Tailkeeper Music. All audio clips are the copyright of their respective owners, and used under fair dealing and fair use exceptions solely for the purposes of criticism and review. Please subscribe to Tipping My Fedora wherever you get your podcast fix. And it would be great if you could leave ratings and reviews about the show at Apple Podcasts. Be seeing you.